Pink helmet. She's coming. Danni! Pink helmet, yeah? Danni! Danni! Nice one, Danni! Keep it up! Welcome back to the Helmet Podcast. I'm your host, Danni Shrosbree, where we talk all things cycling, safety, performance and design. This week, I am live in Girona, where we're talking to a few athletes that took on the Traka experience. I am joined with our first athlete from Traka Week, Skyler from the USA. Welcome to the podcast. I know before we go into Traka Week and all the chaos, first of all, if you can tell listeners a bit about how you got into cycling and where it all began for you.
Yeah, I got into cycling when I was 11 years old. Well, I guess I started racing when I was 11. Probably started riding my bike when I was 9 or 10. My dad got me into mountain biking, and I come from Northern California, which is kind of where mountain biking started. So started doing XCO as a kid, and then got more into gravel as I got through university, and now I'm a full-time gravel racer.
Yeah, so you were very much full-time working and racing for a bit. What made you make the change, especially as a mountain biker, come into gravel? Because there's that stereotype that people were like, oh, once you're a mountain biker, you don't do gravel, but you're slowly starting to see everyone coming across. So what made the change for you?
Yeah, I think the mountain bike to gravel transition, I always like mountain bike, but I think I actually really enjoy the kind of mixture of the pack dynamics and the road racing
Yeah,
aspects of gravel and the kind of technical challenges that maybe more would suit more of a mountain biker. And I like that mix. I think that mix is really interesting.
yeah.
And I think I'm better at that than the pure XCO side of the mountain bike sport.
Yeah. And I think it's crazy to see how much gravel has evolved over the last few years. I mean, a few years ago, there was like the odd race on the calendar, but now as a US athlete, being able to come to Europe and USA, it's like there's a huge calendar.
Yeah, there's definitely just too many races now to do them
Yeah.
all. You got to pick and choose and make hard decisions, but there's
Yeah.
some really cool events. And I also really enjoy a lot of the racing in Europe, and I like the racing
Mm,
style in Europe. So it's been fun coming over here the last 2 years for some of
yeah.
the bigger events.
So before doing Traka, you'd been to Girona and done, I suppose, the tester of Traka, which is La Santaval, gave you a bit of a taster of European gravel. But have you seen the difference in the gravel racing from the European side to the US side?
I think part of it's the racing style and racing culture in Europe. I
Mm.
think it's a little bit more aggressive, but I also think part of it's just the terrain and the roads are smaller. There's way more turns, and you're just kind of always having to deal with something. So
Yeah.
I think it's just more aggressive, more dynamic. You're always protecting the wheel you're on and maybe trying to move up and take someone else's wheel. And I think it just keeps you a lot more engaged. I think it's super exciting. I think some people find it
Yeah.
overwhelming, but
Yeah.
definitely a little bit of an adjustment coming from some of the races we have in the US.
Yes, I feel like there's never any time to switch off in the European races.
Yeah.
Whereas in the US, when you're on those unbound roads for a minute in the peloton for the first like 10 miles, although it's changing, I think everyone's attacking from the gun pretty much now,
Yeah.
which is crazy. But let's talk about Traka. You obviously your first time,
Yep.
and it was the 200K you did. Talk us through your race dynamic and obviously being in the pro field. How did it start for you guys? Was it full gas from the start or?
Yeah, the start was very chaotic. The first 5 or 10 minutes, we had everything from cars coming up into our field as we left town to crashes in the very first roundabout, and then a huge fight for positioning leading
Wait,
up
that
to.
first road roundabout, there was a crash.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So it was a mixture of trying not to die and also trying to be in the right position for the climb.
Yeah.
So yeah, it started very hot.
I think that's a really interesting point to go straight into, actually, because obviously, year on year, this event is getting bigger and bigger. And safety is such a big thing for us athletes. Like the pelotons get a bit similar to what you see in the World Tour. The pelotons are getting faster, the same in gravel. The fields are getting bigger, the pelotons are getting faster. But there doesn't seem to be the same amount of like support being added to it or like motos. Did you notice in the race that there wasn't enough of that? Or as an athlete, from your perspective, what do you think is missing from that side to prevent that?
Yeah, it's a tough situation, and I don't think any of us have all the answers on how we can improve the safety, but it certainly feels like the sport is progressing quicker than kind of the race infrastructure is around it.
Yeah.
I think the more competitive the fields get and the higher the stakes are for getting a result in these races,
Yeah.
the more safety issues we're going to encounter. So it'd be nice to see some improvements on the safety side. And I think some sort of rolling enclosure or closing some of the critical roads around the start and finish even could be a big improvement.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's yeah, I think from my perspective, it's like on the gravel roads where you'd think there'd be no cars, especially in Spain, and we're all flying down these descents, and then cars are suddenly coming at you. It's not what you expect, and obviously, I think that's what's different. The roads here in Europe are a lot narrower, so it's not like a whole peloton can stick to one side.
Yeah, I mean, when you're racing full speed on these narrow roads, like you are gonna have to take chances in blind corners,
Yeah.
and it is a bit concerning to remember that those are open roads and there's people that live there and are just, pulling out of their driveway or going to run errands and may not even know that there's a race going on in that street at that time.
Yeah. Do you think it's also this privateer element, I suppose, that's also creating this frantic racing in a way where people really want to keep their contracts, prove to their sponsors and everything. So maybe there is that bit more risk going into descents and everything or speeds to get into position. Like you said, your races are going off so hard now.
Yeah.
So positioning is so important.
I think that is certainly a component. And I also think when you have more teams, there's just more structure, more organization to the field,
Yeah.
and it's more clear who's going to take what role. And I think that would maybe bring the chaos down a little bit. But I certainly agree when everyone feels the pressure to get a result for themselves, it's just going to create a more chaotic environment.
Yeah. Now, I suppose moving on to a more positive side of the racing. How did the race pan out in the men's peloton?
For me, I was a bit out of position coming into the first climb, and I really had to work hard up the first few climbs, kind of over L's Angels, to get onto the back of the front group. And I think 15 or 20 of us made it over the top and down some of the descents. And I found myself in that lead group leading into the flat bit in the middle, and then the group swelled quite a bit. And unfortunately, a few of us had some confusion around where the first aid station was, so we ended up leaving the front group and turning around and going back on the course, thinking we
Yeah,
missed our
that was
feed.
very confusing, to be
Yeah.
fair. It like sent us all through a shed, pretty much, like
Right.
a barn, didn't it? So you're like, oh, I'm getting fed here, but then it was like, oh wait, no, the pros aren't getting fed here.
We saw a lot of riders going through the shed, but there's also a route around the shed. So a bunch of us went around the shed and then thought, oh, maybe we missed our feed in the shed.
Oh
You
no.
can't see in the shed when you're going by it. So yeah, there's a bit of confusion, but at the same time, it's on us to understand where the feed zones are. So I don't
Yeah.
blame the race for that. I think we should have done a better job of reconning that bit and understanding very clearly where those sections were.
Yeah. I feel like in these races, there's so much stress you've got to prep for, especially like when they're 200K long. Even the night before, prepping all your nutrition is, you're not making like 4 bottles up, you're making packs and bars and everything. Um, but what's next for you? Like, will you be coming back to Traka, do you think?
I would certainly like to come back. Overall, I thought this course was super demanding, super interesting. The field's obviously world class. It's, I think, arguably the biggest gravel race in Europe, and something I would be really excited to come back to and try to get redemption on.
One last thought on the whole tracker racing. Obviously, there's this very much unbound tracker comparison, but I think the biggest issue everyone's saying is tracker has these two pro races, this 360 and the 200. Would How would you feel if the 360 became the pro level race only and the 200 the amateur, or do you quite like the split and the
Look-
choice, I suppose?
Yeah, looking at it objectively, I do think we need to kind of consolidate everything under one race.
Yeah.
That could be the 200 or the 320. If personally, I find the 320 daunting, just the distance.
Yeah.
So it would definitely be a bit daunting to have that be the race and have that be kind of the training demands going into it. But I would still like to see that happen.
And finally, what was the helmet you were racing in from Met?
I was in the new Trenta 3K Carbon.
Why did you choose that one?
I knew it was going to be a bit warm here,
Yeah.
and I wanted to make sure that thermoregulation was a priority. And I
Yeah,
also think it's a really fast helmet aerodynamically, so it was kind of the right mixture of those two things for me.
I agree. It's a favourite. Well, thank you for joining the podcast and good luck at Unbound, I guess.
Yeah, Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'm joined with Kyle, also from the US. First time racing the 360 here in Girona. Talk us through your experience.
Yeah, the experience was quite great. I had a lot of fun. It was very hard as well, but I think having the mental battle and with this long and daunting of a course is, why I came here and what I wanted to experience from it. And I think overall it's fun and very engaging course where you always have to be on, and there's descents where you have to be so focused that you can't really recover anymore because of how technical it can.
Yeah.
So having all that and being in Girona, it was a great atmosphere and a great buzz around the town and for the race as well.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing with the 360 is obviously it's physically so demanding, but mentally, especially on that course, you really can never turn off. It's like either single track, rocky descents, or then you need to think about nutrition, and it's so easy to miss turns.
Right.
And I think obviously coming from the US, there's so many races out there that are straight for 10 miles and turn left, but here it was constant.
Yeah, there's constant turns, trying to really understand your Garmin or your Wahoo and figuring out how the course works because you can easily get lost out there.
Yeah.
So I did a couple of recons before and really understood how everything worked to try and stay on top of things, or I made sure someone else around me knew where we were going because
be in a group.
sometimes didn't really know either.
Yeah. And talk us through your race from the start, because obviously I believe there was a bit of a mismatch with you guys getting set off with the pros, which in a way was probably quite frustrating because you didn't know exactly where you were in your category.
Right. So yeah, a big chaotic start, but the first climb was pretty full gas, and I think from there it kind of just continued to go full gas, even down to the descents and then into the second climbs. But it was still everything you're just on the entire time, which is really fun. But also I needed to remind myself don't blow up too soon. But unfortunately, later on in the race, it all caught up to me. But yeah, it was. I think having a start like that and that steep of a climb does create separation and breaks within the pack, but then you can always find your way to work in with someone.
Yeah, I think that's what's crazy about that distance. Like, I think a couple of years ago, the peloton was stopping at feed zones for hours, whereas now, even in the 360, people are taking musettes and everything is full gas, basically until you blow up, and then it's just an attritional, the last one standing. Did you have someone in your feed zones, or were you doing it solo?
No, I had some people in my feed zones. I had some friends from Standard that were here.
Oh,
They
amazing.
raced the 200K, but
Yeah.
they were kind enough to help me out throughout all the feed zones. So without them, I was going to do it by myself. And after experiencing that,
Yeah.
it was so thankful that they helped me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the men's field is so big. How was it? Obviously, you started in the dark. So how was that first climb and descent? Because it wasn't the simplest descent. You went straight in. They changed it up from last year.
Yeah, it feels like it didn't happen to some degree because it's all in the dark and you're just going and
Yeah.
I remember reconning it and thinking, "Oh, this is technical, here's this, there's that," but in the dark, you don't even think about it and you can't really see it anymore, and next thing you know, it's all over.
Yeah.
But it's a bit nerve-wracking as well because you're bar to bar with people turning on loose gravel, even, trying to find placement on a climb so you don't slide out, so,
Yeah.
uh, scary but fun, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, I think obviously you're from Away Message. We can talk about that in a second. But you guys clearly like doing mad challenges. And what was it that made you want to do the 360?
I think that, yeah, that challenge and that something that's very hard, but also at the same time rewarding and fun,
Yeah.
and kind of pushing yourself to the limit is always
Yeah.
something I like to do and our team likes to do as well.
Yeah. Have you done anything longer than that before? Or was that your furthest on gravel?
That was the longest I've ridden
Yeah.
my bike, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible. Wow. And Away Message, talk us a bit about what you guys do, based in San Francisco.
Yeah, we're a concept-based race team,
Yeah.
based in San Francisco. We really like to do long and hard races and as well as test our bodies and our bikes, And to your point, like we do this ride called Bodega Run, but starts in San Francisco and heads south. And we take a variety of routes. It changes every year along ridge lines. There's a lot of dirt mixed in there. And Matt Weeb's the one that creates the route, so it's always fun to see what he likes to challenge us with or surprise us with at the same time. So it's quite fun, and I think it's just we constantly do it. I think this race like fits that perfectly.
Yeah. Do you think you'll persuade any of the others to come here next year?
I think there might be a few more of us here
Really?
next year.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And last question for you, which helmet were you racing in?
I was racing in the Mantra Aero helmet.
Aero.
Yeah.
That flat section you must have flew.
Yeah. Not so much as I liked, but
there was margin. That's where you need the marginal gains, at least. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
The party starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go!
Next up, we're joined with Steve. If you didn't think the 360 was enough, you went and did the 5. Is it 560?
Yeah, 560. It ended up being 550, but still part of the confusion and the fun of Traka, right? You still call it the 560 for the week.
Of course.
Yeah, still long enough.
I think we can let you off 10K after you've ridden that long.
I know, but no.
But I mean, we've battled out Badlands together, so I very much know that you've got the mental ability to get through a ride like that. But you also tried to do this race 2 years ago?
Last year, yeah. So last year I was supposed to be doing the 360 as a bit of a race that had always been in my mind to do and then moving over the side of the world. But unfortunately crashed a week before. And so then this year, I thought I'm going to do it once. I'll do the 560. I'd seen a lot of people do it last year, obviously being the first year with the event, and thought, why not?
Yeah. And talk us through your training leading up to this event.
Yeah, so I was actually off the bike for 7 months, and then I only got back on in January, and so I had a bit of a crunch for the last 3 months. Yeah. I think you know as well as I do in terms of events like this, like you just have to ride your bike as much as possible. Yeah. So like the clear goal was just to ride as many Ks as I could physically per week. Probably came into it a little bit undercooked around the things that you forget you should be doing, which is riding your gravel bike loaded a lot more, doing as many of those kind of long fatigue rides, or even just pushing out and trying to ride through the night beforehand. Yeah. But it's pretty hard to do that when you're, living normal life and just training, etc. I felt like I'd done enough of the kilometers, and just luckily enough, had done some stuff in the past, right, and kind of built a bit of endurance and a base over many years.
And I think, how much would you say of the training for this event is actually your mental state?
Yeah. I think it was quite apparent. Like, obviously, have done Badlands and have done a lot of 300K days back to back to back. But you can't really imagine what it's like until you're out there and you're riding through the night and you're by yourself and you're trying to supply and carry everything. I think you just have to do a few of these to really figure it out. Yeah. I mean, you learn so much every single time, and every time you leave, you're like, oh, I think I could have done this better in a small fashion. Yeah.
There's something quite special about riding through the night. I mean, I don't know how many of our listeners that listen to this podcast have tried it, but the first time I did it was testing before Badlands in the UK, which I think tested me more than Badlands, to be honest, because our gravel riding there is quite tragic.
Yeah.
But how do you feel when you're riding through the night?
Yeah, it goes in waves. Yeah. I think it's such a unique experience because you just think that everything stops around you. I mean, you don't see anybody. It's pitch black, and especially in races like this, you're 9 times out of 10 in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. It's obviously beautiful when you see the stars. I mean, I think the sunrise is the moment that everyone talks about the most. I think with this it's intriguing what like your rhythm can do once that sun comes back up, because you can go from death to love in life.
Light can give you so much energy. Yeah. It's actually crazy. And caffeine.
But yeah, and like especially on the course, right? Like I got into Cateches at 3 a.m. and I've never been there, and you obviously hear how beautiful it was, but you still can see places that are extremely beautiful at night, and they're just in a different way. I don't know. I think maybe because a lot of people don't do it right, there's something also a bit special about feeling like you're really pushing yourself to an extreme and doing something quite unique. I don't think it's addictive, but I think there's definitely something in there that every so often.
Oh, 100%. Because you're like, you also want to ask yourself, how long can I stay awake for? Which is crazy. Because I remember the first time I started, I trained for Badlands, and I was like, no way can I stay up all night and ride for the nights. But you're even seeing it in these I suppose, shorter ultras that people are barely stopping in this as well.
Yeah.
How have you seen? How did it pan out for you? Obviously, having done Badlands and doing this and seeing like what Victor is doing,
Yeah.
like it's
Insane.
actually insane.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I'm kind of in that window as well. I'm calling it more of a race than I am an ultra. I think
Yeah,
for me, like ultras kind of go past that precipice where you have to sleep or you're not going to get through. I think Badlands was always one of those ones that was right on the edge a couple of years ago. And even when we did it, like people were still like, I did Badlands, but I still stopped and had 3 hours worth of sleep. But you're out for 2.5 days where like for this, like I knew from the get-go after seeing last year and the times and the list, etc. Like if you really wanted to push yourself, you have to plan to go from
yeah,
start to finish as fast as possible with no break time. Yeah, I mean, I like, had a look at it, right? And I think my time this year, like I would have maybe been top 20, maybe even top 15 last year. This year, you're in the 50s. So I think
yeah,
that's every event though, right? I mean, it's grown in popularity and I think people want to push themselves in different ways.
yeah,
I think shortening the 360 may have pushed some people over as well.
yeah,
Because, there is people who are really looking for those extra distance and that longer race, etc. Or people that have also done the 360 a couple of times.
yeah.
Like we
I'd
saw
be
it with
interested
Madden.
to see next year
Yeah.
how many of the 360s are
Yeah,
then
yeah.
jumping in. But on the course, obviously you go into the Pyrenees,
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. What was your highest point and your lowest point? Because you ride so many waves in that distance.
Yeah. I mean, the course is just brutal out of the gate. I mean,
Really?
it's incredible to go out to the Pyrenees, but you have to go over.
Is it full gas from the start in that race?
I mean, the first 4 hours, I was average 170 beats and over 30 k's an hour.
That's insane.
People peeing off the bike, like it was not stop and yeah, like it was. I thought I was in a race, and then obviously you hit the mountains and you're feeling good, so you just keep going with it. I mean,
Yeah.
I was probably the one part that I was really looking forward to was getting right up into the top and seeing the Pyrenees in their full beauty, and unfortunately we had a bit of fog.
Yeah.
I would say. Oh yeah, I mean, low point. I basically did up until 470. My stop time was basically to fill beat-ons or eat food. So I hadn't actually sat or lay down. So I just had a big back
Wow.
blowout and I had to stretch. So it was probably like the low point, but was
Yeah.
able to get through that. High points, I mean, sunrise was beautiful. I mean, it always is. You're always going to think of that as your high point. I mean, it's cliche to say finishing, right?
Yeah. Oh no, totally. That was my achievement this week as well.
But no, I think the entire thing was a real high point. I was very fortunate and lucky to be supported by Portal and Met on this.
Yeah.
So there was people following around, obviously taking the content side. So I think it was just nice versus Badlands for this one for me as a high in terms of
just
like
hearing your name being called.
yeah,
It does
and just
so
like
much
those little things
morale.
of seeing people
Yeah.
and feeling like it's just more than you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was cool to feel like part of a bit more of a team atmosphere within what was a self-sufficient race, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And obviously, I know you live in London. I lived in London. It's a hectic city. So it must have been quite nice just to come away and just switch off from the city and ride your bike.
Yeah, and it's been quite a while since I've actually ridden in Girona. I think it would have been before the crash. So, I mean, we've come here a couple of times when I was injured, but it was nice to actually be out on the bike. And interesting enough, even though it's not a race, but it is a race, but I've only ever raced here before with Sea Otter or with Santa Vi. And so I haven't done that much of the bike packing gravel scene. So it was actually nice just to get on different roads and not be getting beaten to death up a climb like every other time up else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good to see. And then even just like a lot of the new parts that I haven't seen before. Usually you come on a road bike and do the same stuff and it's great and love it. But it's cool
I
to
think
see
that's what's so beautiful about a bike. I think that's everything why people should ride a bike. It just takes you to parts in the world that you couldn't normally see. It takes you to points that cars can't get up to and everything. It's so beautiful. But you, in London, you've got your concept Benchmark. Do you want to explain to your listeners a bit about Benchmark and what you guys do there?
So we're just opened a new store in Islington. So we've been going for the last year and a half with a website and then also a community space in Walthamstow. But we specialise in performance cycling, running, off-race, bikes, and we also have a cafe now. So just really trying to create a space for anyone who's into sport, whether it's cycling, running, etc. And then, we host runs and rides every day, do weekends, and then, work with a few brands, etc. So, it's been cool to do something within the sport in a different fashion now as well. So, yeah.
Super cool. Do you think you'll be back for another Traka distance next year?
Nah, I think my I missed the boat on the 360. I feel I would have loved to have done it when I was probably in a bit more prime. 560, I feel like it's a one and done.
Yeah.
Loved it, but yeah, I found it harder than Badlands in that sense.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Fair enough.
maybe, you never know.
Yeah. Final question: what helmet were you riding in?
Yeah, so I was doing a piece, as I said, with Paul and Matt, and they've got a new limited edition Trenta that's coming out next week, which we'll be stocking as well. So
Amazing.
it was
Get
part
to
of the
benchmark
campaign. Yeah, exactly.
in London, go get your Portal helmet.
Thank
Very
you.
cool. Thanks for coming on the pod.
Awesome. Thank you.
I am joined with Luca, who took part in the Traka 200 Open. Do you want to talk us through your whole experience? First of all, was this your first Traka?
Yeah, it was actually my first gravel race.
First ever gravel race?
Yeah.
What a race to do as your first race.
Yeah, it was super spontaneous. Literally just a week ago, I picked up my new bike after being on a 26 bike for the last year.
Stop.
And I just felt for a gravel race. I picked up the bike and then they invited me to, hey, why you don't join the Traka if you already come to Girona? So shout out to Megamo Bicycles here based in Girona.
Amazing.
Yeah, super cool. And then I did the whole thing, the 200.
That's incredible. Honestly, that is so good because Girona gravel is no joke. I think especially if that's your first ever time on gravel, I'd say everyone gets the Instagram images of the flat gravel, but then there's some really gnarly, I'd say, gravel plus gravel up there, and there's some pretty gnarly descents. How did you overcome some of that?
Yeah, well, I have a mountain bike background.
Sweet.
When I was younger, I was riding downhill a lot.
Yeah.
Also the German downhill cups. And coming here, I think it was the perfect gravel track for me.
Yeah.
Because I
That's
love
super cool.
going downhill fast and, descending. My wrist hurted a lot after like 150K.
Yeah.
So I could tell I'm not that fit. But
I think everyone's wrist. Yeah. I think lack of suspension.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But it worked out well, and I'm glad that it was a track like this and not just this smooth gravel as I see in other videos, maybe.
I think that's what's so special about the track and why people do keep coming back is it offers everything. It offers single track. You do have those flat sections, but then you do have those incredible gnarly descents and the mountain ranges. Did you end up like with a certain couple of people or bond, or were you very much just like in your own head, get to the finish, or what was it like?
So my plan was to kind of arrive before 10 hours. That was like my mark, the 200. But I knew straight away when I started the race that it's going to be a race and that I will push what I can
amazing.
push.
Yeah.
And I actually arrived in like 8 hours and 30 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I was
fast.
super stoked.
Yeah.
But there was crazy strong riders. Like the first 100K, I think we averaged 26 an hour.
Yeah.
And that was for me completely
Especially
massive.
'cause it's so hilly at the start.
Yeah, super hilly. And I have no idea about all this nutrition, gels, bars, like literally I have no idea.
Yeah.
So at the first feed station, I thought, okay, I can just keep going with my group. But after 5K, I just completely knocked out. And I was hoping for the second feed station that there's some proper food.
Yeah.
And then at the
So
second
did
feed
you
station.
stop and grab food from there? Yeah.
From the second feed station. And then from there, it went well
Oh, that's
to
good.
the last 80K.
Did you feel the pressure to not stop at the first one because of did your group just keep going through?
Yeah, kind of. I kind of lost the group straight away when I arrived at the first feed station, but I knew, okay, it's a race, so I have to be quick. So the first feed station, I just grabbed some salami. I don't know why. Yeah, it was so bad. I tried one and I was like, nope, that's not good.
That is so, that's what they had out in the feed zone.
Yeah,
salami
and bread, Nutella sandwiches, and I thought, okay, salami, there we go.
Yeah, so funny, just grab
so
what
bad.
you can. Yeah. But it's crazy because even you said about like not really understanding the nutrition. It was actually very much like that in the pro field a couple of years ago, and that's how it shows how much gravel's evolved. Like we were all just going out grabbing whatever. My friend Sarah Sturm, when she did it her first year, she sat in the feed zone for like half an hour eating rice, and you just don't see that anymore. Everyone's got so many gels in their pockets and everything. But
yeah. As a new person in this whole gravel world, it seems very structured. Like how many carbs you need and what kind of electrolytes, energy bars. I might get into it. Because
there
it's
you go. You're hooked now.
Yeah, I am. Like really, it's fun.
Yeah. So was that like the first time you'd say you've properly pushed yourself that far in doing a challenge like that? Or talk us a bit about your background.
So I started with bikepacking around the world. So I was kind of cycling around the world for 3 years on and off.
Wow.
Like now I have a girlfriend, so
She's like, you're not doing that anymore.
well, she joined me actually for a few months, so it's a
Wow.
great support. But obviously, I can't just be gone for like several weeks or like months, let's say.
Yeah.
So it's getting a bit slower now on the bikepacking side, but now I'm trying to get more into joining events, meeting up with people, because with time you get quite lonely during
Oh,
bikepacking.
for sure.
So it's great to
Yeah.
actually see another world of cycling and join group rides. I had my first proper group ride just a week ago.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Would you say, because I assume when you're doing the bike packing, are you doing bivvy setup or you mix it up with hostels and
It was
hotels?
first just camping, but then obviously like in Asia, for example, it's quite affordable to
Yeah, of
spend a night in
course.
a hotel. And then because you asked me about my like what I did before, I also joined the ultra race actually 2 years ago in
Really?
Indonesia, the Bentang Java.
Oh, wow.
But I did not finish. Like I disqualified after 700K because I felt super bad. I had food poisoning.
Oh, no. I've pretty much had this week.
Yeah, and the
It's
heat
rough.
there, it's super rough. But this year, that's kind of my main goal, to go back there and finish the
Yeah.
race.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
But
super
I think
keen.
that's what's super cool about your background is it's made you mentally tougher in a different. I mean, you're not necessarily having to jump into these pro races, but you're still doing these incredible challenges by doing something like bikepacking around the world. Because there's no doubt that you got into situations that mentally it is so tough.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, like, some of these adventures that we all see on Instagram and stuff, it looks amazing, but there's actually so many logistics to work out and everything.
Yeah.
Is there any moment on your adventures that that stood out for you?
Or like there's so many ups and downs. I mean, it's literally I cycled in Patagonia from the southernmost point in Ushuaia all the way up to Santiago de Chile. And actually my girlfriend joined me and it was her first ever bikepacking trip. So it's like super, super challenging,
Yeah.
especially me with going on the most weirdest off-road trails and hiker bike sections. So it was a pretty tough one. But I think especially during those hard moments, you always have a great experience afterwards, like
For
a nice
sure.
memory.
Yeah.
And even now, 2 years later, we are still talking about how we cycled in Patagonia.
That's so
Or
cool.
there's so many experiences.
Yeah.
I was in Morocco, or just now 3 months ago, I was in New Zealand, cycled the
Wow.
South Island. It's super challenging with all the elevation, but it's always every challenge brings a big smile on my face, and I
Yeah.
think that's why I was also so emotional yesterday.
Oh,
It
I
was
think
amazing.
I think that's what's so beautiful about the bike is the places you see, but also the people you meet and the journey you've been on. You must have met so many incredible people. I mean, I did it in a traveling way, not with my bike, but I met so many people that I still talk to this day. So you must have probably in every country that there's someone you can meet up with now.
Yeah, absolutely. There are actually right now few people here from Singapore, Taiwan, Philippines, and it's
Wow.
incredible to actually meet them here and have a chat, go ride
Yeah.
together. It's really amazing. Like it opened up my whole community, like world kind of with
Yeah.
friends. And
I bet you can't imagine life without a bike now.
oh no, absolutely
Yeah,
not.
it's
I
so
think I'm
special.
just kind of getting into it more and more.
Yeah.
Like especially now after the Traka, it
Yeah.
opened a whole new world to me,
That's
seeing
so
all
good.
those passionate people and like-minded people.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be back next year to do it again?
Yeah.
Are you gonna go for the even bigger one?
Depends how fit I will be. I will
Yeah.
actually try to get into more what I said, nutrition part
Oh,
and
cool.
get more stronger, especially for the Bentang Java in Indonesia.
Yeah.
So I hope I can beat my own time next year. And I don't know, maybe the 360,
Yeah.
otherwise the 200 again.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, yeah, it'll all be there for you. Good luck. And but last question, what helmet were you racing in?
I was wearing the Trenta collab with Portal.
It's very cool.
It's a pretty cool
I'm a
looking
bit
helmet.
jealous. Might have to get
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, no, it's a nice one.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for your time.
That's all right.
Thank you.
I am joined with another Met athlete, but also a very good friend. Welcome, Maude.
Hi, Danny.
Now, we've both had a unique run up to Traka.
What a week.
What a week. We're both on Rafa as well as being Met athletes. So just before Traka, it's your first time to Girona?
First time to Girona, yes.
But we did a little Rafa team camp. Let's talk about that weekend first before we go into Traka.
For sure. Oh, it was great. We had so much fun. I feel like, I mean, we've both been racing since 2021. And I think we're all feeling a sense of like, I don't want to go so far as to call it burnout, but I think just a sense of just like exhaustion and fatigue around some of the sameness of things. And I felt like camp was a moment that we all were able to experience gravel in this way that we really loved, which was like riding with people and friends, like new people, but also old friends, going on routes that made no sense. That were so cutty.
Arguably, we were just cutting through bushes.
Yeah, we were definitely bushwhacking and finding new places. You know, for me, it was a completely new place. We were treated to just such care and love in our camp. And I think it felt like the old days,
didn't it? I think it's crazy because I suppose we were kind of like at the start of gravel, and it is crazy how in the last few years it has evolved, and it's getting overwhelming.
It is getting so overwhelming.
That weekend was very much reminded us all of why we ride our bikes, and I think that's why it was such a special weekend. It's like, you know, we all do train so hard and work so hard, and that was just so good to a group of us that all do the same thing, to get together and laugh. Ride our bikes and laugh rather than look at data, analyze this, worry about that.
It was so fun. And it was just, you know, everyone from all over the world and different places. And like, it was a really refreshing experience to have. And it was honestly a really great way to kick off the week. But it was also an insane week.
Myself and Maude were both entered for the 360. We very much, I think we've got a similar mindset with these kind of races.
Yeah.
Maude, you've done, what's it called? Because you've ran the 100-mile Leadville, but what was that when you did all of them?
It's a series called the Lead Challenge. And it's Leadville is a series of races, and it's a mix of running and riding. And there are 5 events, and you compete across all of them. They add up your times, and they're across a couple of months throughout the summer. So it's a trail marathon, a 50-mile mountain bike race, the 100-mile, the famous 100-mile mountain bike race, a 10K the day after the mountain bike, and a week later you run 100 miles. And so that was my big endeavor and adventure last year, and I won that and set a women's record for all of them.
Yeah, it is so, that achievement is something else. It
was so hard, but it was truly fun. Like I think, you know, that to me felt like the core and the essence of why I love this sport, because it was this experience of kind of just like doing all these weird things and making them work and finding my way through it. So anyhow, but yeah, so I do love long distance things, and I had never been to Traka, and I had no idea what to expect. And it was also, to be very honest, a little bit of a last minute ad for me, which in hindsight was just a bad idea. Don't ever
Welcome to
don't wing it. Don't come to Traka and try and wing it. This race is savage. Yeah, we can definitely get into it, but I'm honestly kind of happy that I was able to come and do what I did without like kind of, I had a loose program, let's just put it that way, in like 1,000 million ways, you know what I mean? And I still feel like I got enough of a taste so that if I come back, which I hope to do, I have a much better sense of like what on earth is going on.
The first thing you messaged me was like, I think I'm getting a taste of what you feel like when you come to the US.
Oh my God. I truly, just getting to Europe, like landing, I've traveled a ton in my life. I'm very, very experienced traveler. Traveling with a bike is just such a different experience.
So different.
Traveling for a bike race is especially different. And, you know, as athletes, and especially now in the sport, you have to have your systems and your processes dialed. Things have to be
100%
in line, right? They have to be in order. Like, we are both partially type A. I think you and I are a little loose type A, but like you got to have some aspect of that. Figuring out how to replicate or like put your systems in place in a foreign country. You know, Spain isn't that far away from the States, but even so, like, where do you find microwave rice? Like, how do you do laundry? Like, where do I go and find like plain pasta? Because we didn't have a kitchen. It's the whole thing. This week has been wild. Anyway, I definitely texted you and was like, holy shit, how do you do this so regularly? How do you Euro girls come over to the States? Because it no matter how similar things can be, it's always just an adaptation. And I was really, I really had that experience of being like, wow, I have to like adapt all my systems and my habits for racing.
But I think that's what's getting more difficult is the calendars are expanding and the races are getting big and they're kind of competing against each other. So everyone wants to be at them, but then in between is this massive travel that you gotta work out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I mean, I think about like just the last month in terms of like a big calendar has been, I don't even know what came before Sea Otter, but it's kind of like kicks off with Sea Otter, and then a lot of women raced Levi's, and the weekend after, and then the weekend after, then between Levi's and Traka, they flew to Spain and then raced Traka, and then they're gonna fly home, and then there's 2-week turnaround. Yeah, and then you have to go to Kansas, and it's just like it and I expect to perform at this high level and not get sick and stay rested. And it's
talking about not get sick, what happened to both of us this week? Myself and Maude were battling some awful sickness bug. And we were like having good times, bad times at different moments. So we'd message each other like, stomach settled. And yours like, mine's not.
How are you doing? Like rumbly in the tumbly.
Yeah.
It was hard.
It's a roller coaster. And then the night I was at, the day before, I think it's our mindset. We were both like, we're doing this race. We're going to get through it. But then I had a horrendous night the night before the 360. I had 3 hours sleep. My stomach woke up Brad. Like the noises of my stomach woke Brad up. That's how messed up it was. And I still woke up as the mindset at what was it, 4 a.m. the alarm, 3:30 a.m. to eat rice. And I had one mouthful and the stomach went, and I was like, Brad was like, you're not doing this race. And then I couldn't sleep because I was just lying there like, I want to do this race. I was like, I've still got an hour. Maybe. No.
You know, it's funny, like the mind of an athlete is so it's so messed up.
It's quite toxic because it
very it
pushes you to do things you shouldn't do.
I know.
Yeah.
And you know, I think there's a little bit of an unhealthy cultural celebration of that sometimes. And I try to be really, really frank and honest with myself, and like I'm definitely more of an athlete who tries to be very like gentle with myself. But even so, I'm not gentle with myself as a person, just in the on the spectrum of an athlete. And we come all the way here. I don't want to not try. I don't want to not do it. And I think the hardest thing, I think the worst that could have happened is having said no too early or with too little information and being really disappointed without having found out if I could do it.
If you could do it. Exactly.
You know, like regretting not trying.
Always. Yeah, and exactly when you've made that journey. This especially it plays on your mind. But so talk about the morning of the race. When you woke up, you had Maude ate a 7-calorie.
Speaking of like having your systems dialed, I always eat microwave rice when I travel because it's just super easy to make. So we went to the store to look for microwave rice. So we found like rice in a bag, which is typically microwave rice. There were so many other things going on this week. Like one would be maybe someone's listening to this and they're like, why the hell did you not read the packaging? And it's like, well, my mind was in other places. I had so many other things happening. Like we didn't have a kitchen. We had to move our lodging. We had to stay in a hotel. So we had no place to like cook rice. So it had to be like quick rice. And, my friend went into the store, bought some rice in a bag, tons of it. And I was like, okay, great. It was called like zero rice. I was like, perfect. Zero rice means like 0 minutes to cook it. And then I'm like sitting there in the morning. It's 3 and 4 in the morning. And I'm like in the hotel breakfast room speaking Spanish because I can't speak Catalan to the worker who's delightful and so lovely and trying to help me with like the microwave. And I'm like, how long do I cook this? And he's reading the packaging to me. And I'm like standing there and I'm like, can I have some water? Can I do something? And I'm like, this guy is like, why the hell are you awake eating rice at 4 a.m? Like, what is wrong with you? So I'm like trying to cook this rice and it's like so watery. So I'm just sitting there eating this bowl. Like, this is such strange texture. Why is it like, it's like water. It's so wet and it's like chewy and it's so strange. But you just kind of keep going. You're like, I got to do this. It's always weird on race morning.
Yeah.
Calories. Just got to get the calories. So I'm sitting there like, getting through this and I finish my food. I like go to the start line. At this point, my stomach is just not good. I mean, we won't need to get into the gory details, but it is no bueno.
And I'm telling you, it's not good.
And I'm telling you when I say it's bad, it's bad. But I mentally and like physically was okay. You're not. This virus is something that just needs to get out of your system. But once it's like moving through you, you're actually like fine.
Yeah.
Like mentally, physically, you're kind of fine. So anyway, I get to the start line. And then at this point, I'm basically like, all right, if I have an accident in my bibs, I'm not doing it. Like, I think that's a red enough flag that I don't need to like push myself through that. I think that's too humiliating. And so that was kind of my bar. And yeah, I mean, lo and behold, we crossed that bar and I was extremely upset and super sad. And like, I so wish things could have gone a different direction. But
you was doing so well though.
Yeah. I did. Yeah. I mean, honestly, maybe I was just so light from having lost so much fluid. I was actually climbing and like sending and riding so well.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we should talk a little bit about the start, but I'll just give you like my day. So, I'm climbing. I'm actually feeling great. Like, I'm like, dang, I'm hanging. Maybe I can do this. Maybe we can make this happen. And I'm pushing myself. And earlier in the day, the start, they had not cordoned off the amateur men from the pros. And so the pro men went off.
So that was Kyle from basically.
Well, Kyle's a good friend of mine from San Francisco, and I actually passed him on the course. And it was nice. He was cheering for me. And I was like, this is so ridiculous. So all these amateur men are essentially on the course. So the pro women were riding through the amateur men. It felt like the olden days of gravel racing.
Golden
where you're
days.
just like
golden days.
And maybe the golden days, yeah. And just like, we're just passing all these men and 99.9% of them were actually fantastic. They all moved aside. They were super gracious about getting out of the way. Like they were, they were cheering.
Yeah.
I actually felt like it was actually the best possible experience given the circumstances.
Yeah.
But it was wild standing on the start line being like, are we supposed to be going? Wait, are we missing our start line? Like that race
crazy.
nightmare you have. But yeah, I mean, I was climbing really well and felt really strong and actually felt like I was in a decent position for a while and was really able to push myself.
Yeah.
And honestly, the lights just went out like 3 hours in. I was like, I need to.
But that's just like the lack of calories. You've like not been eating.
Yeah, like at this point, I hadn't done any of the ideal like carb loading or pre-race day prep. I had been running around. Like there's so many elements of this week that were maybe not set up for me. But I basically get to 3 hours and I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And normally I'll just pee in my bibs, TMI. But this time I was like,
not this time.
Maybe not now. Not worth it. Not worth it to find out. And I did find out, and that was the moment that it was like, this is
so fair.
We're going into the mountains. Like I have how many hundreds of Ks left?
Yeah.
Like this is not. I respect my body and respect my health too much to push through this. So.
Definitely. And then, but I mean, there's always next year. You can always come back.
And then to put the cherry on the top of the week, I pulled the plug. It was a bummer. But we wrapped up. I got back to the hotel. I was talking to some of the girls, and they're like, "Maude, we have something to tell you." And I was
Confession time.
Yeah, they're like, "It's something important." I said, "What?" And they, after telling them about my race, and they were like, "Well, we discovered this morning that the rice we bought actually has 0 carbohydrates in it.
So not only had you not been carb loading all week due to sickness, race morning you're eating a 0 calorie.
I actually had 0 carbs, 7 calories, and like so many grams of fiber.
Everything you don't want
Like,
pre-race.
Everything you don't want pre-race, and especially what you don't want when you have norovirus and you're already pooping your brains out. And I was like, you know what? I couldn't, like the only thing to do at that point is just fucking laugh. Because
so
like there's
true.
just like life just has a way
Yeah.
of creating like comedy out of errors. And I was just like, of course, it
Yeah.
had to be this way. It
Yeah.
had to be this way because this is how it was. And
Yeah.
I will laugh about it for forever. You know, there's obviously a lot around like I don't mean to write off the amount of time and investment and effort and like, you know, resources that go into getting us to these
Yeah.
places. And I am so grateful for all of that. And at the same time, like it's just a reminder that like sometimes you just have no control.
Oh,
And
no.
there's just nothing you can do. And
Yeah.
like you just gotta take it as it
Yeah.
comes. And I feel like this week was very much
Totally.
that
I mean,
experience.
I had the same. I think I rode every emotion this week, and when I couldn't when I couldn't do that race and I saw that you did pull out, I was like, I think I made the right call.
I think you made the right call.
But then that night I held down my dinner and I was like, it's Traka week. I'm in my hometown.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
ride the 200. I
Yeah.
went in with it. Of course, there's always that race element, that like mindset
Yeah.
when you're on the start line. But I was like, I just want to ride my bike. And
Yeah.
I was like thinking about the weekend we had done. And I was like, I love riding my bike. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get on that start line. And I was same as you. I was quite surprised. I was like,
Yeah.
I felt quite light.
I like feel okay.
Getting up these hills okay.
Cool.
I was battling for top 10.
Yeah.
And then,
Hell yeah, you
and
were.
then the lights went out.
Yeah.
We finished on a top 20, but I think it says everything about bike. It was like the tracker, whatever, the racing, it didn't go our way, but
Yeah.
we had such an epic week
Yeah.
the week before.
Yeah. You know, I think it also is a testament to like, you know, we're friends for a lot of reasons, but I think one thing is we share a really balanced perspective on things of like the ability to see a lot of good even in the face of like madness and chaos. I think
Yeah.
that's like something I really admire about you is like you just have this like amazing equanimity and like positivity, but not in a toxic way, just in this way of like always being able to see kind of a different side to a situation and a scenario. And I think it enables you to keep going and keep pushing. And I think this week was a moment that we both were in it together and like blessed because like it's so much more fun to have someone to just like laugh about how absolutely bonkers all of these different factors were and how everything played out. And I will leave this trip with a fond, positive mindset on it, despite I think possibly everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, other than like my bike being broken. But like, who knows? We have time for that to happen on the way home. So I don't know. But yeah, I think this week has been it's been a really good learning
perspective. And I think in this sport, especially nowadays, you kind of got to have that big mindset.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like how quick it's evolving and how much advantage people have with their support. Like there's this privateer element and then this full team support, and I think the privateers are kind of getting together to help each other out a bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, gosh, that's like a whole another topic, but yeah, I think we need each other. And I really appreciate all the love and support you gave me this week, and sitting on your couch eating your overcooked rice 2 days before that actually had carbs in it was actually a real highlight of the trip, even though we were both feeling really poopy, pun intended.
Well, safe travels home. And final question, do you know what helmet you were racing in?
I was racing in the 3K Carbon Trenta.
Yo.
Very light.
Very light. Yeah. Ventilation. We needed that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It's so much cooler. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope to come back. Maybe I'll come to Girona just to ride.
Yeah.
And maybe we can just have like a hang.
Do a girls' bike pack trip.
Yeah. Maybe that's on the calendar. Nice. Put that on the calendar.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
And that's a wrap on this podcast, talking to all our athletes that experience the Traka. Stay tuned for our next podcast.